Hi all. Right, maybe scare some of you away seeing my face, and you've come along to see whatever. Well, I think this is what I'm going to do. Somebody asked a while ago about seeing my face, so I thought, why not? I'm not like frightened to show my face or anything, but obviously I'm playing a board game there, so that's mainly what you're there to see. Yeah, but I suppose it is nice to put a face to the voice. I watch quite a lot of YouTube videos as well, and sometimes you don't get to see the people's face. Not that it really bothers me too much, but I suppose it's nice to put, like I say, the face to it. Now I've been away for quite a while, but I had a cold, rotten cold for about 6 weeks. It's only just going away now. My throat's still a little bit iffy. I thought it was never going to go away though. Eventually went to the doctors. I managed to work through it. I had quite an easy time at work, so just grin and bear it. Anyway, I'm coming through the other end now. I did play a few sort of games that I didn't record. The game Agricola and what was it? I got Ora Labora, whatever it is. Played a couple of games of that. Like I said, I didn't record any of that. I wasn't in the mood to be recording. I was coughing all the time as well. Had a wee game of Spirit Island as well. And I made another purchase, which is this monster here. I don't know if you can see that. I'm not sure how the light's coming through just now. It's just the sun starting to set here as it's coming in the window. This is Europa Universalis, the price of power. Now, taken from a video game, this. I never played the video game because when it came out round about after the time I started losing interest in playing computer games. But this is a really popular computer game, I believe. So it kind of appealed to me, and I thought, oh, give it a try. This is a monster. It really is. I cannot get my head around the rules for this at all. It's got a good bot system, it seems, within it, so it can be soloed. I'm kind of struggling with it. I don't think it's anything I would ever record, if certainly not in the near future anyway. There's plenty of video footage of it, people playing it out there, but I'm kind of struggling with that. So I purchased that, but I've only just trying to learn the rules for it. And then I thought, well, what's my next recording? I know I'd done a video and said what my next recording was going to be, and it looked like it was going to be I can't even remember now. I put it away again because I just kind of I couldn't quite. I set it up a few times trying to mess about with a tactical game. Was it Normandy, the beginning and the end? That's it, Normandy, the beginning and the end. It's got a solo system, Alone in the Storm. And then I was looking at some other games, and this was a game that Conflict of Heroes, Awakening the Bear. This was one of the ones that I highlighted, and I had to look at that again. And because I know how this runs, I started watching some video footage of it again, and obviously we've got the solo rules for this. You might see Mr. Butterfield's name down there. So he was involved in this, and big fan of his, obviously. All the solo games that I've recorded, most of my enjoyments come from they've been the highlights anyway. So he had some input in this game as well, and it's good. And I started playing it. I played the first mission a couple of times, and I won the first one, and then I tried it again, and I lost. And it was good though, and it brought it back to me. And I thought, I think I'm going to do a recording of this. So I think I'm going to just start with the first mission of this. Search and destroy. That's it. It's quite a sort of introductory mission, and it's not an awful lot to it. And I did notice in it when I was playing it, the randomness of some of the dice rolls you get is sometimes a bit iffy. But then you've got card draws as well, which can be a bit random as well. But it's still quite easy. It's not that complex a game, but some of the orders on the cards can be quite challenging and really quite interesting how they all work out and that. So I think I'll start doing some of that. And again, it's just for really mainly from my enjoyment and whatever. So whether any of us have got an interest in seeing this game or not, I don't know. But yeah, so I think I'm going to do that. I do still have John Brown got in touch with me. I don't know if I can see it. Where is it? It's way over there on the other table there. I don't know what I'm showing here because the light's a mess. I do still have Red Storm double defection set up. Yeah, John had sent me a message wondering. I think he was concerned about me because I hadn't been around. Maybe he was just wanting more video footage of double defection. I think that was more what he was after. No, thanks for your message, John. I'm all good. Just a cold. It was yeah, it just messed me up. Anyway, I've still got that set up. And I kind of wish I hadn't started. I said that to John. Kind of wish I hadn't started that next scenario because I could have just left it for a wee while, and we didn't been able to clear the table. So I haven't done that. So you'll probably be glad to know, John, that it's still set up. So I will push back over to that at some point as well. I just felt like I wanted to try something different, and so yeah, I think I'm going to try some Conflict of Heroes. Awakening the Bear with the solo rules. So yeah, I think that will be the title of this video, and yeah, there's a face to the voice. Don't know if it's what you expected or not from a Scotsman. Yeah, anyway. Okay, so well, I'll pause just now, and I think that was all I was wanting to say. Yeah, and I'll probably not be showing my face that much. It's not something that you need to see, but anyway, that's that. So we'll have a look at the map and how this game works. Oh, and before I head down to that, cheers. Okay, cheers. Right, okay, so this is what we're going to be playing, Conflict of Heroes Awakening the Bear. This is the rulebook for the 2nd edition. Now, here's where this game has a bit of a challenge and probably puts a lot of people off. The rulebook side of things, different versions. Now, recently they brought out, well, I say recently, it's probably been out for a year or so, maybe longer to be honest. They brought out a 3rd edition of this, and they changed the major rules. Some of the major rules they changed were basically turning it into how the solo game works. I think they found that the way the solo game, how the activations of the units go in the solo game, they've actually turned that into the way that the game runs in the new 3rd edition, whereas it was different in the 2nd edition on how they've done it. Yeah, there's a lot of different versions of the rulebook, though, not just the rulebook, the solo side of things as well. Now, I was reading through the 3rd edition of the solo rules, and I don't think there's much changes, to be honest, from the versions I've got. Some of the wording got changed and whatever. So, I'm not going to be playing with the 3rd edition rules of Awakening the Bear, but I think I'll use the 3rd edition rules of the solo system. And my plan was to have printed them out, but I've not done that yet. So the latest version I've got is version what was it, 54, and there's a version 58. It's all a bit confusing, to be honest. If anybody that wants to try and play this game, it is all a bit confusing. I mean, if you buy it new and you got the 3rd edition and you got the solo system, I think the solo system's quite hard to get. I don't think they reprinted that, and yet they've reprinted the actual main version of the game. So, but I mean, I'm happy enough. You can get the second, if you can get the 2nd edition of this and get the solo system, it works just fine. There's another few changes in the 3rd edition. One of the major ones, and I'm not sure if I should use it or not, is the stress rule. I think I'll maybe just leave that out because I'll probably forget about it as well. So I'll just play it as I played it. I've played it with the 2nd edition stuff. Like I say, I'm going to eventually get around to using this 3rd edition of the solo rules. But they've not changed an awful lot. Like I say, just the wording. The original wording had fire, and they changed fire into like fire factor or fire. Was it firepower, and changed it in the attack rating everything about fire, they changed it into attack. I'm not quite sure what the whole main purpose of that is. Now the cards in the new edition, the third edition, they changed some of the numbers of the cards as well, which confused. So that's why the third edition of the solo rule book and the solo missions, it'll mention different card numbers and that, but I've not got any of that, so I'm not going to go into any of that. It's once you see it start playing it, it's not going to be as confusing as I'm making it sound. It's just unfortunate that there's different versions of things, and it's quite complicated for anybody to try to get into the game new. And it's a great game, it really is. It's just that maybe, I don't know, not went about it in a great way, bringing it all together. I'm not sure. They've not brought the solo system up to date with the new version of the third edition. I don't think anyway. It was hard for me to get back in it. I was looking online trying to find out, what changes have been made and things like that. But don't think it's necessary to change anything from using this and basically the solo rules I've got. I mean, what is this version? Has it not got a number? Yeah, because I've got this version, and I've got, I already said, version 54. This is the other one I printed out. Now, there's a version 58 of this, and then you've got the third edition on it as well. But I looked at the third edition, it didn't look like there was too much difference between that and the 58 version, so, and probably not an awful lot of difference to this. But there was quite a big difference between this and this because of the wording of the fire and attack ratings, and yeah, I'm probably just making things more complicated than it needs to be. And then you've got the mission booklet as well. And like I say, this is the one that changed because the card numbers were different. I think the cards that you're using have got different numbers now if you've got the third edition of this, which I don't, so I'm just going to stick with this. Yeah, basically I'm just going to be using the second edition and the solo system. I think that's what we're going to get down to. Okay. I'm pretty sure that was a terrible introduction and terrible explanation, and folk are probably switched off and thought, right, I'm not going to bother with this game still. I thought this was maybe going to tell me what versions I need and what to do. And yeah, there was somebody started a thread recently, and I think that's part of what got me looking at this again. And he was trying to find out the differences between the second and the third, and all the other. You've got, was it Storms of Steel, and there's a couple of versions. You've got Guadalcanal as well, but none of them work with the solo system was brought out in particular for this. Now, however, there's something else to add as well. I don't have the book handy because you've got a firefight generator. That was another expansion. I've got that as well, and that's why I'd like to start this and go through these scenarios. Now, I might do one or two, and then I might go and play another game and then come back to it. But I think I'd like to just go through these. And then also, somebody went and converted the original missions, now I've not got that book handy, from the Conflict to Heroes, like the two-player game, the two-player scenarios, converted them into being able to play solo as well, which was great. So there's even more missions. Now, I haven't tried any of them. And then there's a couple of campaigns in this as well. And then the other thing, you've got the firefight generator where you can create your own missions for the solo system as well. And so there's lots there to work the way through. So yeah, right. I'm not going to try. I mean, I never try and really teach any rules or anything like that. It's just I want to have a game. I just want to play the game. What I will hopefully do is play the game properly and error-free. Yeah, right. We know that's impossible, right? For any of the games I think that I've played, it's that I've shown recordings of, it's impossible. Let's face it. Even the designers themselves, we've seen it happen, that they make mistakes. So I'm not going to better that. So but yeah, hopefully that obviously my big issue is like getting all the rules right. So fingers crossed we may make a reasonably good job. And if there are any errors, then hopefully I'll point them out, bring them up, and whatever. Right, but I'm not going to. I'll speak about things, but you really need to have an idea of the game. I'm not going to teach you the basic rules. Although I've said that before, and then I look through things and I talk about things. So you might still get some of that. We'll see how it goes. Right, so this is the first mission. Solo mission 1, search and destroy. Well, let's just get into it. Now there's the map, right? So there's the map that shows you how the setup is. It tells you some of the setup over here, but that shows you the setup. And what I'm going to do is just fold that out of the way now, because I've already set the map up. There it is. And let's just go, and it's just to make a bit extra space, because as you can see now, I'm cramped into this, because Europa Universalis is over there, Dark Blue Defection is still over there. They're my two big tables, and this is a little small additional table. But this isn't that big a map here, so and I want to say it's not until some of the later missions where you double the maps up. So we might be able to sit here for a bit. If not, I've got a feeling Universalis is going to come off the table. I don't know. I just feel like I was just struggling pretty badly, but anyway. Okay, so solo mission 1, search and destroy. There's a wee bit of story at the top there. July 12, 1941, Soviet partisans have been harassing German supply wagons in an attempt to root out local combatants. A platoon of German trackers are searching a nearby abandoned Soviet village for the partisans and weapon stockpiles. With the first knock on the door, gunfire erupts from the surrounding woods. Partisans must eliminate the elite German patrol before they locate the partisans' base of operations. Right, okay. So player command. Now this is, I think this is one of the, most of the scenarios, you control the Germans, I think. Yeah, but this one starts with I'm missing something I'll get my tweezers. Not that I'm going to use tweezers in this game, I think, because the counters are beautiful in this game. Look, they're big, massive, rounded counters, big, thick things. Really impressive. So it'll probably just be my clunky fingers going in and messing with them. Although these are big tweezers, I could use them. So right, anyway. So player command is Soviet, so the AI is going to be the German in this mission. Although this is one mission that it says at the bottom here that you can eventually, once you've played it, replay the mission as the Germans. So you play the Germans and let the AI take over the Soviets. Now this solar system's not, it's really just, these missions are done, what was it, Heroes of Normandy, the lock and load tactical system. They tried to make a version of this solar system as well. And what they tried to do though was make it more open so that it could be used for all their different scenarios and all their different versions of the game, and not just the Heroes of Normandy, the Heroes of the Pacific, or whatever the other ones are. That you could just use the solar system. Now I've got that as well. And although some folk do probably like it, I just it was too loose. This solo version, because these are dedicated missions to this solo, it works. It really does work. It's really good. I think it's really good. But like I say, this mission you can switch over, so you could play as the Germans, and it suggests you do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to play it once as the Soviets, and then I'll move on to the next mission. Right, so round 1, initiative. Soviet get the initiative. Soviet cap allocation per round is 4. I've got that marked up there. Beginning victory points, 1 for the Germans. So there's 1 there, and the way the victory points work in this, you can't be tie-in with victory points, so it's 1. So if I get a victory point, then it flips over to the Soviet, and we're then got 1. And if the Germans get 1 back, then it means that Germans are at 1. So you can never have it where anybody's at 0 or they're tied. So there's always got to be somebody winning. And that's how it works. Right, action cards. All action bonus cards 02 to 05. Now that's these cards here. So 02 and 05, they're all marked down the bottom there. 5, 2, 4, and there's quite a few each one. So I think you get all of them, and then you just shuffle all of them up. The Soviets receive one card on round 1, and then one card each round thereafter. So we get one card to start with, which I'll draw once we get ready to go, and you get one card every new round. Order cards are 15 to 55, and this is the soul cards that control the AI. We'll get to them. They're just selection orders that you just go from top to bottom, left to right, and go through them, and eventually find something for the AI to do, and it's pretty clever. Yeah, it is. Yes, you will get on occasion a slightly daft move. They do have a rule 42 within the game that says if you feel like it's a stupid move and you want to override it, then do that. I'm not one that likes doing that. I'm not saying I'll not do it. I did start doing it a little bit in the Dark Blue Defection, which was kind of scaring me a bit, but that was because that solar system is quite... Yeah, I've talked about it. The solar system is reasonably simple, and it does leave you in some spots. This, yeah, I'm not saying I'll not override anything at all, but I'm probably going to be reluctant to, and just let them do their move, because it's not been the first time I've seen them do a strange move, and then it's turned into something that worked. But we'll see. Okay, so that's order cards. Map setup, this is map 2, which we've got. Yeah, place the German control marker on hex. The 2 is for the map, and then I07 hex, which I'll show you the map in a minute. Adjusting difficulty. For an easier mission, remove order card 55 from an order deck. I'm not going to do that. I'm also not going to play with the automatic success is when you draw to see if your unit's spent or not. I don't like using them either, so it makes it a little bit harder, because it does say that you actually should play with them unless you don't want to make it a bit harder, but I just got used to not using that, so I'm not going to use that. And then there's the German forces. Place them is shown up on the map, which I'll show you the map. Like I say, the map was on the other side, but I've got it all set up. And it says the SDKFZ251, which is the half-track unit, may only enter hex 107 to capture a Soviet control hex if it is the only remaining German AI. Okay, and that's the control hex that starts as German. So if we take it over and we happen to remove all the other infantry units, then that's the only time that can move into the hex to take it back. Because it's kind of tough to take out the half-track because it's a vehicle rather than an infantry unit. Soviet player forces partisan resistance. Place the AI specified. So we've got 3 rifles and 1 is it small machine gun or submachine gun? I don't know, SMG anyway. And sorry, they had 3 rifles as well. Okay, and then here's the mission track and counter actions, mission orders. We'll get to these. The cards will instruct us to try and do this. Some of the cards will instruct us to try and do that. Some of them will try and instruct us to do that. The mission track, it starts here. And there's some instructions that if you land on these, they'll do something. Now, if these are in a yellow box, because the mission track will either move 1 or it might move 2. Now, if it moves 2 from the start, shall we say, and it just goes then this will get ignored unless it's in a yellow box. If it's in a yellow box, it doesn't matter if you land on it or if you move past it, you always carry out the instruction on it. But you can see none of these are in a yellow box, so if we do happen to move 2 there and then 2 there, we'll ignore all of these. But that's kind of unlikely. Victory points, immediately for each eliminated German, and then 1 immediately for control of hex 107, and then we lose VP if the control gets lost. Germans, immediately for each eliminated Soviet. So we each get a victory point if we take out one of our units. So some of the sort of instructions here regarding the mission track. Space 4, if the mission track marker ends on space 4, the hit AI closest to unit will take the auto rally. Yeah, it's just telling us, just giving us a wee bit more information about what happens if we land on that. But it does just say, as AI action, hit AI closest to unit, auto rally, even if spent. And it's just giving you a bit more information there. And then once you've done that, you would carry on doing what the card said if it had landed on that. So it tells you about space 8. Yeah, it's just some instructions about how it all works. And then there it says replaying the mission as the Germans. If players have the option to play this scenario as the Germans, letting the Soviets be controlled by the AI. It's slightly different. It's a couple of adjustments you make, but I won't go into that. So we're ready to start. And I said we start with 4 caps, and these are the sort of free points that you get every round. We'll get 4. However, if we get a unit eliminated, then it covers up the space, and then we would only get 3 in the next round. And then obviously we've got another unit eliminated there, we would only get 2 next round. So you don't want your units getting destroyed as well. Right, let me move things along a bit and get the map in view. Right, so there we go. Right, and I'm not sure how the light's coming across here. I've got my big light on here at the side. I'm tucked in the corner here. I'm not sort of out of my comfort zone of where I was normally recording stuff and whatever, but I'm sure we'll cope. Right, so I've got the cards set up, ready to go, and this is the situation on the map. Like I say, we need to control that. We get a victory point for taking that. Soviet units, we've got this one in the woods here, this one in the woods, and this one as well. These are all in the what is it? Is it heavy woods? What is it called? Yeah, woods light. You've got woods light and woods heavy. There's a white woods, it's a slightly different colour, and that's heavy woods. Heavy woods gives you a +2 defence modifier, and light woods gives you a +1. Light buildings, let's say wood buildings, are they? Yeah, wood buildings give you a +1, and stone buildings would give you a +2. And there's a stone building there, but we're unlikely to probably go into that. I think all of these are in wood buildings. That's a wood building as well. So, and all these bottom line of sight. I've got my wee handy dandy thing here, which is going to help in this game. Now, the line of sight rules, the whole hex is considered. It's not like some games play the actual the graphic of the heart. It's got to go through that. Well, it's not. This whole hex is considered to be a light building, a wooden building. So if I'm trying to trace line of sight from this unit to any these guys, you can see that it's going through that. It's going to go through that hex at the moment. So, like, he's not got line of sight on that guy, shall we say, that's just past the control marker there. And it's centre dot to centre dot, so and then it passes through. Well, it's going to pass through this hex as well. So you can see there's no line of sight to that. But yeah, Grant, I'm not meant to be trying to teach rules here and whatever, but because this is quite a quick mission, to be honest. I know my videos always take longer than they should, and I'm sure this will be no exception as well. Yeah. Right, so we get an initiative. We're going to start. So I'm just going to get on with it and see how we go. And I can talk about some things as we go, because I'm not explaining how. But I'm not really wanting to try and teach all the rules. There's all the things on the card, right, on the units. I mean, I suppose that's a cost for it to fire. That's a cost for it to move. That's its firepower. It's got a red firepower and a blue firepower. Sorry, let's zoom in on the unit. I suppose we should talk about one. Let's say it costs 4 for it to fire, 1 for it to move. And they only just move 1 hex. Some of the vehicles get some bonus movement, obviously, because they're vehicles. This is 3 firepower against this is main firepower that the infantry are going to use. That's against, I don't know what the wording is for it here, but this is against infantry units. The blue firepower is against armoured or vehicles. So you can see that anything that's got, see this has got a blue defence value. That means we need blue firepower to it. Now you can see all our infantry units have got a 0 as a blue. So that's why it's quite tough to take this guy out. It's not impossible, but because you get certain bonuses for being in short range and close combat, so it gives you a bit of a boost there. But our main fire is just going to be the red numbers. The 5 there and the wee star is its range that it can fire. Now you can fire at long range. Now that was something I couldn't remember what it was, actually, to be honest. I'd never passed, so give me a second. Yeah, so long range firing, this is the main rule book. So all these rules, unless they're so specific, are going to be in the main rule book. And like I say, I've only got 2nd edition rule book. I don't know if there was a more up-to-date version of this or not, so I'm not sure. So 7.7.1 on page 7, long range firing. If the range to a target exceeds an attacking unit's range, but is less than or equal to twice its range, the attacking unit may fire but subtracts 2 from its firepower. But it will tell you in the solo rules that an AI will not carry out long range fire unless it specifically says so on the order card. So his range is 5, but I suppose I could subtract 2 from that to take it down to a 1 to then fire up to 10 hexes away. But again, we've got to have line of sight as well. And the 2 numbers here, we've got an 11 and a 12. This has always been slightly confusing to me, the way they put them. I think they've been better putting them other way about, unless it's just me. The 11 is its defense value from its flank. So obviously it's going to be easier to hit it from the flank. It's 11 from the flank area, and it's a 12 if you're attacking it from the front area. So I kind of thought the numbers should have been the other way about. I think that would have worked better for me, but maybe that's just a me thing. So that's that, and we'll get into more. Yeah, I just want to get the game going, really, and so I get started. I don't have enough time just now. In fact, I wasn't even going to start this evening, but hopefully I can do a little bit. Maybe get a round in and get a video created, and then that might get me going again. I think when I was away, and I was like, I'm not sure I want to get back recording videos and whatever. Kind of when you're away from it, and then as soon as you start again, it like gets you going. Right, I'm going to draw one card to start with. Right, that's a good one. So basically that lets us take, as it says, take as a command action, 1 free action. Take 1 free action of any cost with any unit, so it doesn't cost you anything at all. So yeah, you can take it, and then you don't need to draw to. Well, you can take it on a spent unit, or you can take it on a fresh unit, and it's guaranteed not to be spent because you don't need to draw. Right, I'll draw to check for spent. We'll see how that happens if you've not got a clue what I'm talking about there. I just say most folk that's maybe going to watch this might have some idea of how the game works and whatever, but maybe not. Maybe some folk that have watched some of my other videos might want to see what this is about. So hopefully I can show it a little bit and it doesn't become too difficult to understand. But it's probably better just playing it, and we'll work things out as we go. So it's our initiative. So let's just get into it. Normally, when am I starting? I've played this mission a couple of times, just recently, just to try it. I won it the first time. It was reasonably close, although I felt comfortable at the end. And then the second one, I lost it in the end, and it was quite tight. So again, you could say some of the randomness can maybe some of the dice rolls do sort of come into it, and you think, oh well, that's just based on a dice roll. But I mean, most war games have a dice roll of some sorts in them that have some effect, don't they? Okay, so yeah, I think one of my sort of first moves is attacking with this guy on this guy. So he's got a range of 5. He's in no cover there, and line of sight's quite clearly fine. So I'm going to take a shot at him. So this is going to cost me 4 to carry this out, and we'll get to see what this happened. In the original game, before they changed it, you would need to spend 4 of your action points to do this, but I'm not going to confuse you with that. It costs us 4, and we'll see how that works in a minute. And our firepower is 3 against his target, because he's got a red defense rating. So we're firing with 3, right? Now we're going to roll 2 dice here, and we're going to add that 3, and we need to get either 11 or 12, depending on... Now you can see we're firing at his front. We're not firing any of these hexes here would be classed as his flank. If we were in here, for instance, or even here, that would be his flank. However, we're firing at his front, you can clearly see. So the front's always going to be the biggest number if you think about it. Like I say, I would have thought these been better switched about. But so we're firing against a 3 against a 12. So we need 9 on the dice to try and to get a hit on him. And oh yeah, and we have a bunch of hit markers now. There's some vehicle hit markers. They're in there. I know it's not a deep cut, but I'll not be looking. I'm sure you trust me. And then these are the main ones we're going to use. The vehicle ones will be used if we happen to hit the half track. So it'll be mainly these we'll be using. It takes 2 hits. Well, there is 1 killed in action chit. I think there's only the 1. So if you happen to draw that and get lucky or unlucky, then obviously the unit's destroyed right away. Yeah, it's eliminated. But if it's got a hit on it and you hit it again, then it's eliminated. So we would need, like I say, a 9, isn't it? We need a 9 to get a success on that. However, we can spend some of these cap points. I'm going to unplug this because it's starting to. My phone was not charged at all, so because I've not done anything for a while, so I had to plug it in. Yeah, so I can spend up to 2 of these. Now, what I could do is we're going to have to check to see if this unit's spent, and the check is going to be on the amount it costs to take the action, which is 4. Now, what that means is we're going to turn one of these cards over and check the number at the bottom middle with the card, and there's numbers between 1 and 6. Now, if we are checking on a 4, anything up to a 4 or less is going to mean this unit's spent. So we've only really got the chance to draw a 5 or a 6 to keep that guy fresh. And if he stays fresh, he can carry out the action next turn. He could fire again. So one of the things you could do is you can spend any amount of caps that you've got towards this value. So it's 4. So I could spend all 4 points, right? All 4 of my caps. And then that costs nothing to do the action, which means I don't then draw the cards to see if it's spent or not. So I could, and then it's definitely going to be fresh. But that's a bit of a, that's throwing all your caps. Now, the other thing I can do is I can add up to 2 caps towards the firepower of this. So I can turn this 3, I could spend 2 more and turn that into a 5. What it actually doesn't adjust this, it adjusts the dice roll. So it means that I'm adding 2 points to the dice. So then I would need to just roll a 7, because we've got 3 against 12 is 9, but if I'm adding 2 to my dice roll, I only need a 7 on the dice. And so I can spend up to 2 points on that. So I think I'll do that. I think I'm going to spend two caps to just on the first attack, just to see if we can get something going here. Now I'm going to have to, I'm going to have to show these dice rolls because I think these are quite they're a big part of the game, but then there's going to be a lot of them. So yeah, I've not got a great setup. I could do with one of the dice towers, you just drop them in there. That would maybe be a bit easier, but anyway, okay, so I'm spending 2 caps. I'm firing at this guy. So it's 3 against 12, but I've got 2 caps, so I need a 7 for a hit. So there's my wee... Oh dear, 6. That's 6. Right, so we miss. Okay, so that was 2 caps away for... not a good start. Right, anyway, now, like I say, that cost me 4 to do that, so It's 4 to carry out the action. So we're going to turn this card over and then down the... Oh, we've got lucky there then. There's the spent check number. So it's less than or greater than a 5. Sorry. Less than or greater. Greater than or equal to a 5. It's alright. Why is it showing it like that? It's because it's less than. I spent 4. Yeah, so if that had been a 1, a 2, a 3, or a 4, it would have been spent. I kind of makes it look like that's greater than or equal to a 5 and it's spent. That's the wrong way about it, isn't it? That's kind of what the graphic kind of looks like, doesn't it? Yeah. Oh, I'm not getting that wrong, because that's how it works. Right, sorry, I was just wanting to look in the rulebook just to see if... I guess I'm kind of reading that... You know, it explains it in the rulebook that it says, if the action's AP cost, which was a 4... Remember, it cost me 4 to fire. So if the action's AP cost is equal to or greater than the AP spent number... is equal to or greater than the AP spent number. Yeah, the unit or AI is marked spent by flipping it to its spent side. Yeah, so that's why it's showing it as equal to or greater than. So 4 is not equal to or greater than 5, so it's not spent, right? That's the way it's showing it. I guess I'm looking at thinking it the other way about. But I knew I was doing it right, but I just, when I looked at the graphic there, and you know, because yeah, because I've played this game quite a few times, but I mean, it's been quite some time, and it was only just recently that we brought it out. So he stays fresh, and if he was spent, he flips over and he's got that pink band through them. But so he's good, right? Okay, so now over to the Germans, and this is where it all starts. This is where the fun starts. So we draw one of these cards. Right, that light's not coming in nice now, is it? Right, well, I'll draw a card and we'll have a look at it. Right, so there we go. Let's have a look. So we've got some instruction up top. So if the AI plus units is less than or equal to 4, we would move the mission track 1, right? So less than or equal to 4, but as you can see, nothing's happened yet. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we've got 8 AI plus units. So that's not going to do anything. Now sometimes you will get there are sometimes the mission track it won't require any of that, it'll just move automatically. Right, so anyway, then we just move down this card. So these are the priority actions. So this means close combat. So that means 2 units in the same hex. Well, we've none of that. This means short range, whereas 2 units adjacent to each other. Well, we've none of that either. As you can see, there's not a German unit adjacent to one of our units, because that's what it's looking at. Because their priority, you want to get a shot off, because you get bonuses for being in short range and close combat. So then we execute counter actions. Okay, so then we need to look over here to see what the counter actions are. So it says, if no unit just fired, AI closest to spent unit move towards. Well, we did just fire, so that's not going to apply, because we did fire. We never hit them, but we did fire. So that doesn't apply. So none of the priority instructions are going to get carried out. So now we've got the tactical instructions, and there's 3. There can be up to 4 in here, I think, as well. So, and most of the time you're going to end up doing something. On occasion, you'll get right through the card, and if you do get right through the card and can't do anything, then the AI will just pass. And the round ends by 2 consecutive passes. I pass and then he passes, and then the round ends. We refresh in it, everything. I get my caps back. I get to draw another card, and we start a new round. So it's as simple as that. Right, so the first instruction. Unhit AI closest to a fresh unit that just acted fire. Yeah, I think this can happen, actually. So let me move the card up there, and just to keep it. And So unhit AI closest. Now you'll see that these are in bold. The unhit's in bold, the closest in bold, fresh and acted, and then the red bit, fire, is the actual action that you want to carry out. And you're meant to do from left to right. So we need to find an unhit AI before we need to find a fresh unit that just acted. But some of these things kind of all fall into place right away. And sometimes you can't even fire and you just get by some of these instructions. And this one, next one's a hit AI. Well, there's no hit AI, so we just skip by it and move on to the next one. But we're not looking at that one, we're looking at this one. And I think we can do this one. So unhit AI closest to a fresh unit that just acted. So in actual fact, I look at that and I sort of say, let's find the fresh unit that just acted first. And that was that. This was the fresh unit that just acted. So that's his target. Now we don't know who it is but that's the target. We don't know who it is. So unhit AI closest to that, well, these are both unhit. I mean, well, they're all unhit, but we're wanting something that's close to, and this is 1, 2, 3 away, and this is only 2 away. So it's pretty straightforward that this is the unhit AI closest to the fresh unit that just acted, and then the instructions to fire. So he's going to fire at that, and he's got line of sight. Well, obviously we had line of sight, so if we had it, then he's got it. Now he's facing that way. His arc of fire goes into these hexes and these hexes, and obviously straight ahead. So it's got quite a nice arc. So what's behind him? This wouldn't be in his arc of fire, and obviously behind him on this side would not. But that's in his arc of fire. So he's going to fire. And just as a point there, you notice that was a fresh unit. If this unit had been spent, then this instruction wouldn't be carried out because this wouldn't be a fresh unit anymore. But it is, and there we go. So he's going to fire with a strength of 2. Now he might not fire still, although we know we've got everything we need there, so we know what we're doing there. But one instruction, the AI won't carry out a fire if they've got to roll an unmodified die roll or 11 or greater. They just kind of think, well, that's a bit too much to hope for, isn't it? 11 or a 12, 2d6. It's a bit too much. So they won't take it on if it's 11 or higher, which I think it might be here. Because he's only got a firepower of 2, and he's firing this guy. Now, we know he's firing at his front, so it's the 11. So 2 against 11, well, that's only 9 we need. However, he's in the heavy woods, so that adds a +2. So that is now 2 against 13, and that means he would need to roll an 11. Now, sometimes there can be instructions here to add a cap, but there's not in this case. So if he was to add a cap, then it would be 3 to 13, and he would take the shot on because he would only need a 10. However, he needs an 11, so he can't do that. So we move on. We move on to the next instruction. So hit AI closest to a mission object. Once you see that and there's no hit AI, you kind of you quickly, you eventually become quick at saying, right, we can move past that because it's not a hit AI. Now, if I had hit this guy, we would be looking at him, but I didn't, so there we go. And then the last one, right, now generally you'll find that there will be a movement instruction to sort of finish you off. Sometimes there's movement instructions before that, but there'll generally be a movement instruction in there somewhere, because most of the time they can get a move off, So AI closest to a target, right, low risk move towards, right, so it's slightly more complicated. This is some of the areas that bring up some of the questions about low risk moves and whatever, but I was reading a bit about it today and it felt quite clear about how it was going. Now, if a unit wants to move towards, let's just say that it was him and he was wanting to move towards, then in actual fact he would just move into this hex here. He would move into there. Now, a low risk move towards, a unit will not move into short range in a fire zone if he's in the unit's fire zone. So he will not move from there to there. Now, if he was here, no, that doesn't kind of work, does it? Right, I'll not try and sort of explain Like, if he could move adjacent to him and not be in his fire zone, that would be allowed. But however, this would be a move into his fire zone. So for a low risk move, he'll not take that on. So what we're looking at, AI closest to a target, low risk move towards. Well, is that guy? Oh no, not necessarily. We've got this guy who's 2 away. This one is 1, 2, 3 away from him. This one is 2 away. So we've got, these are our 2 possible targets, Soviet targets. And then what we've got to do is find out which one of them can maybe make this low risk move. So a low risk move for this guy, he can't, I've already said he can't move there. He wants to move either closer, or if he can't move closer, into a better defensive hex. So he would be moving for a 0 DM hex there to a 1, and he could obviously adjust his face. And once he's moved, you can adjust their face, and he wants to keep as many units in his arc of fire. So that's how he would make that move. He would go in there and turn like that. That would be a low risk move towards this guy, because he's in a fire zone, he's staying in a fire zone, he's not getting any closer. However, he's moving into a better defensive hex. Now, what about this guy up here, though? What can he do? I think that's probably the move, actually, because I think this guy... Now, he's a vehicle. He's got some bonus moves here, but I don't think that they benefit him here. Because anytime I've tried to look at the possibility, it's got 2 wee sort of blue boxes underneath that. And what is the +2 again for? I can't remember what that is. Yeah, because they're armoured personnel carriers, the +2 receives all units transported by an APC with a +2 red shield, which is what that is, receive a +2 defensive modifier. Right, okay. Well, we're not going to be doing any of that. So but the 2 blue rectangles, that means it's got 2 extra bonus moves it can make. But it depends on the terrain he's going into. Because as soon as he moves, he can move into this, into there, but it costs some, what is it? Into a wooden building, it means he loses his bonus moves, and it costs him +2 APs. I'm looking at the terrain thing here. Where is it? Wooden buildings, there it's there. Tracked movement. He's tracked movement, so he loses his bonus moves, and it actually costs him +2. Now, normal movement to move into a hex is 1, so it would cost him 3 movement points to do that. And I remember just reading recently, actually, that the AI won't do that if it's going to do that. So if he was to try and low risk, but I mean, he could move into here, and then he's got 2 extra more bonus moves. So he could go, potentially, this guy could go 1, 2, 3, but it's not doing what he's instructed to do. He's wanting to move closer to this guy, but in a low risk situation. So, well, in actual fact, moving into there is, I think I made this move before, but I think that's wrong. Because that is the same, although he's not getting closer to it, that is the same move as this unit moving into here, isn't it? Because it's not getting closer, but it's staying. Now I can't move further back. I can't move further away from that. I need to be really trying to get closer to it. But if I can't get closer to it, as long as I can either get out of its fire zone. So, for instance, if I was here, and I was in its fire zone, I can move into there, then I'm not in its fire zone, So as long as I can do that, so from there I can't get out of its fire zone. Well, actually, hang on here. Yeah, what is to stop me from doing that and then using one of the bonus moves into there? Well, in actual fact, Grant, I could go all the way up there, couldn't I? 1, 2, 3. Well, this is kind of complicated. This is like something I never really thought about before. Because he can actually move 3 hexes. He's 1 and he's 2 bonus moves. As long as he's on... as long as it's open terrain, isn't it? Yeah. If it's open terrain or road, he can do just what I've said there. So because if he moves 1, 2 into there and then he was to like face that way, he's not in this guy's fire zone anymore. And okay, he's not reduced the amount of hexes it is away from him. There is line of sight because that hex side is that's a clear hex. Oh, that's a blocking hex, but you can go right down the hex side, and that's what it would be. But it's not in his fire zone anymore. But in actual fact, he could also go 1, 2, 3, and then turn his facing like that, and then be in this guy's flank. Although that's in his flank there as well, isn't it? I mean, that's not in line of sight now, though. Right, I didn't think I would get anything, any complicated decisions to make in this, to be honest. So I'm not sure. So what was the instruction we were doing again? AI closest to a target, low risk move towards. Right. So it's definitely between one of these two, because these are the same. Right, if they're the same, we can break that down a little. I think. I'm just going to go with my solo rule book. Hang on. Yeah, I was just trying to find in the rule book. To be honest, there obviously was quite a big difference from the original rule book to what they changed. So I'm looking at my version 54 here. AI hex movement hierarchy. No, it's not that one. Hang on. Target hierarchy for AI moves, movement orders. We need to find the eligible AI. If more than one eligible AI is equally distant to a target, this is the one, yeah. So this is 5.2.1, and let's say this is my version 54, but if more than one eligible AI is equally distant to a target, then execute a move order with an unhit AI before a hit AI. Well, they're both unhit. The AI with the lowest cost to move. Well, they're both 1, to be honest. Yeah, because this only costs 1 and he gets the bonus moves. And the way I'm talking about moving him, he's not going to be going into any sort of terrain. However, I'm saying that his movement is 1 to move, but it's going to cost him 2 because he's going to go into there. Does that mean that we do that guy then? And then after that, you would randomly determine between the two. The AI with the lowest cost to move. I'm not sure if does that take into account the actual move, because like I said, it's going to be 2 for him to move into there. It's only going to be 1 for him to move into, well, either there or there, which I'm not quite sure which one I'm going to go to, actually, to be honest. Okay, I've been away trying to work this out. Like I say, this is a more simpler game to some of the games I've played before, but some of these instructions, yeah, they just get you. It's about how to set out. Now you could just jump to what is the best move you think. I don't like to do that, like I've said. But yeah, I came across something. Remember how I said you've got to look at the card from left to right? Yeah, closest to a target, low risk move towards. Yeah. What we're having to decide there is what is the AI that's closest to the target first, not where they're going to move to, right? So I don't take that into consideration. So the eligible AI move hierarchy is an unhit AI, like I've said, before a hit AI, So both of these would apply. So we're trying to find out which is the unit that's closest to the target. We know there's two options. And then the AI with the lowest cost to move. Yeah, I'm trying to jump ahead here and find out where it's going to move to and say, well, that's going to spend 2 movement points. That's not what it's asking here. And because we're trying to find out the AI first, before we even find the target, then these are both a movement cost of 1. So yes, it's probably, well, I don't know which is a better move. It could be that moving into there, or it could be that coming around there. But what that boils down to, these are both 1. So now we're going to randomly determine the AI by assigning each AI number and rolling a d6. So I'm just going to roll this one off camera rather than move the camera around, right? So I'm going to say this is 1, 2, 3. And that one's 4, 5, 6. Okay. Now I've got a 1, so I'm kind of glad because I'm not sure what I would do with that, and I did roll a 1. I'm not messing about, but I just thinking about it there just now. So this is our AI that's closest to the target. So it's him to him, and now we're going to low risk move towards. Let me just get that out of the way first, because yeah, that's me up to an hour now. Once I had the little introduction bit as well, I think it's going to be about an hour and something. So, and I was hoping to get a round in here. Yeah, right, Grant. I'm not going to have time for that anyway, so, well, maybe I can just cut this as a wee introduction anyway. Okay, so he's going to low risk move towards. Now, low risk move is, like I say, for low risk moves, again, I'm reading this. I'm not going to try and show you out of the book, but I've got to read this for myself. So the AI will not move into close combat, so they wouldn't move right into the hex beside it, right? And will not move into opponent's short range fire zone. That's what I said. Now the short range fire zone would be there, so I can't move into there. I'm not allowed to do that. And then it says, right, sorry, I won't just show you that bit because it's quite a good bit. There, it's there. This is only the 5.54 rules, so I think I'll need to get either the 3rd edition or the 58 rules printed out, I think. I'm going to do that. I thought I would do that before I got this started, but I wanted to get going again. So it says, if the AI is not in a fire zone, the AI will do that. So, well, this AI is in a fire zone. It's in the fire zone from this guy. Okay? So we ignore that one. So if the AI is in a fire zone, the AI will, this is what I'll do, you do top to bottom again, it'll move into a non-fire zone hex. Well, you can see it can only move one hex, so it can only either move here, here, or here. Any of the other hexes is moving further away from it, which it won't do. So any of these 3 hexes are still going to be in a fire zone. So he can't achieve that, right? He can't achieve not reaching a non-fire zone hex. So then he will move into a fire zone hex that has the same or higher DM, defense modifier, as the AI starting hex DM. So he's not allowed to move into there because that's short range. He could move into there, which would be the same, right? Or he could move into there, which is going to be better. It's a better defensive modifier. And if we jump back to the... Yeah, just jump back slightly into this bit. This is the AI hex movement hierarchy. Now, you still consider this, but you've got to consider, when you're doing low-risk moves, you've also got to consider this. So if we jump back to this, it says, again, it's the same thing, top to bottom. The AI will move into a hex that is fewer number of hexes away from the target. Well, we can't do that in this situation. The AI will move out of a fire zone. Can't do that. And then the third one is the AI will move into the highest defensive modifier hex. So we follow that. We find out that's the one we can do. And then when we come to this one, sorry, there, it'll move into a fire zone hex that has the same or higher DM as the AI starting hex. So it means it can either move into here or here. However, with the basic movement hierarchy, it's going to move into there. And then it'll turn its face in. What it wants to be is, it wants to have the nearest unit in its fire zone. So that's why it's turning that way. To be honest, this is now its nearest as well as this. So they're both within 2, but if I face it that way, then he's not got this one in his fire zone. So if I turn it that way, he's got both of these in his fire arc, you know? So that's that. So he's going to move from there to there. Now, that was... no, it is a green card. It's there. I'm looking at the one that's in the discard pile. It's a command card. But so that was a cost of 1 to move. However, he's moving into a wood building, which adds an additional 1 movement point. So he's moving on a 2. So we're going to draw a card to see if he's spent, and if he gets a 2 or less on the card, then he's spent. I'll just draw that. Well, I can get rid of this card as well. Right, we'll discard that, and we're going to draw a card to see if he's spent. We're kind of hoping he is. He's not. A 4. It would have to be a 1 or a 2, and he would have been spent. So he's staying fresh as well. So he's moved into a slightly better position. That was why it was low risk. If it wasn't low risk, he would have just moved straight ahead. But because he's wanting to lower the risk, he's wanting to be in a better hex. So let's just jump back to this and have a wee... I don't want to get... I mean, I'm not sure what would happen here. If it turned out that it was this to move, low risk move towards this, I know it's not allowed to move into there because unless it was a command card, it says, where is that bit? Because I came across it there when I was looking up some things as well. Somebody brought it up. I just read this today as well. This is it down here. Now, the latest version of the rules has another it's got it highlighted in yellow as well, the 3rd edition rules, and this was the only bit that I found that was highlighted in yellow, and it talked about, oh, maybe you should just find out what it is, Grant, rather than, hang on. Yeah, it's about the only bit I came across that was highlighted in yellow, and it says, I'm just looking across the computer, an AI vehicle with bonus moves if it ends its turn. I really need to get that printed out, really. I can't read it for here. Hang on. That's it, Grant. Just use the modern technology. Take a photo. Right, so this is under 5.4, multiple hex moves. And again, this is version 54 I've got. But version 58 just shows exact same as this, because I went and checked that. And then, I don't know if you'll see this or not, there's 5.4, you see the yellow bit there? This is version 3 of the rules, and it was the only bit I found that was highlighted in yellow, which I think means this is an alteration or an addition, something that's been added. I don't know if you can see that, I'll read it out. It says, an AI vehicle with bonus moves will attempt to end its turn flanking a player's units instead of entering into close combat if possible. So that was the bit that was additionally added. So, there's only going to be certain reasons that'll come up. And a low risk move, you'll not enter in close combat anyway. It won't do that. But that's not what this is the bit that I was wanting to know about here. All vehicles eligible to take bonus moves determine the movement risk based on the last hex they move into. So it's explaining an AI tank with bonus moves occupies a non-fire zone hex. It first moves into an in-fire zone hex, and then into a non-fire zone hex. This is considered a low-risk move based on the final hex it moved into. So coming back to that, that's saying, because obviously we're not actually allowed to move into that hex with a low risk move. But if I'm not finished my move, I would still be able to continue, I think. I think I would still be able to do that. However, again, that's still not what I was looking for. AI vehicles with bonus moves will attempt to flank a player's units before entering into close combat. Well, I guess that's what that yellow bit was kind of about, wasn't it? Okay. Still not the bit. Yeah, AI vehicles. Yeah, here it is down the bottom. So it says AI vehicles will not move into a hex that prevents bonus movement and costs more than 1 AP unless the vehicle is executing a low risk move or executing a command order card, since they do not require AP. Actually, it says it can do it as if it's a low risk move. I'm really not sure what that would do. I'd be interested to know anybody that's because that then means that could low risk move into there like that. Because you see, that's gonna spoil its bonus moves because it's moving into a building, and but because it's a low risk move, and not only that, it would cost them an extra 2 movement points to go into there, so it would cost them a movement total of 3 to do that move. Now, he would be just as close as he is just now, but he would be in a better modifier hex, just the same as what we've done with that guy, really, same thing. So it does look like he could move that. But I still think this guy could move here, and then here, and turn like that, finish there, or move 1, 2, 3, and finish there. Now, both of these hexes, well, there you go. He's not in better cover though, is he? He's out of the fire zone though. Whereas there, he's in the fire zone. So what's the priority there? Yeah, that could be the factor there, isn't it? What did I say? Here it is here. Well, originally, where is he? Originally, he's in a fire zone. So his priority for a low risk move, he'll not move into short range fire zone. Okay, when he's making this move, he's going through this hex, but he's not finished. He can keep going. So I don't think that matters that that's a short range fire zone because he's not ending there. We just read that it goes to the final hex that he's in. So if the AI is not in a fire zone, well, that doesn't apply. He is. If it is in a fire zone, he'll move into a non-fire zone hex first. So that does mean that he would not do that. He would prefer to do that or that before he would do that, because that's still in his fire zone. So, but then what would he do between these two? Would he go 1, 2 and stop there? Or would he go 1, 2, 3 and pivot to like that? Or he turn his face into that? I'm not sure. So it would still be in a fire zone. No, sorry, it would not be in a fire zone. So I guess we could move back to this one, and it says the first thing it'll do is reduce the number of hexes. We can't do that. No, we can't do that. So then it'll move out of the fire zone, which it has done. Then it'll move into highest defensive modifier. Well, it can't. Both of these hexes are 0 DM modifier hexes, so it's not that. It'll move towards an enemy's flank. Well, that is in his flank as well as that. So it could be either one. So I guess then you could then say it would maybe just randomize it at the end by rolling a d6. I mean, I suppose that's more to his flank, but that is in his flank. If I was to... And the thing is, if I move into there, he can't fire on him because he's not got line of sight. Whereas in there, he's got line of sight and he's... is it his flank? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is, because if I was in any one of the hexes, I'd be firing his front. Yeah, because it's the fire arc, I think, that decides where his flank is. So we're behind the fire arc. So we're not in his fire zone, so we're clearly firing into his flank there. So I guess going by how I'm seeing the rules, though, we would roll randomly between that hex and that hex, I think. And that's if I'm getting all that right. But he does have 2 bonus moves. That would be 1, 2, 3. He could move up to like that, I think. So, well, fortunately we rolled randomly and it was the other guy. But maybe if any of you want to think what you would do there. Or would you bring Rule 42 in and decide what you felt was the better one. I want to try and avoid that if I can. If I really, really can, I want to try and avoid saying, right, but that's the better move. I don't know if I'm going to be able to manage that or not, because it does still come up quite a bit. Any of the games I've had in the past, it has kind of come up, and I think I want to stick by the rules here, and I want to just roll randomly, you know, rather than sort of say, well, that does look like the better move though, you know. Yeah, anyway. Right, so we've done the spent check on that, we've discarded the card. Okay. I don't have any more time left. I'd like to actually. Can we not have another little bit, Grant? Yeah, I think we can. We'll try another wee bit. Right, hopefully I'll have another action, and then I'm going to unplug this again. I plugged it back in there for a bit, just so I can move things a bit. But I'll have another action, then we'll draw another AI card, and then I'll probably just cut it there. So, well, do we want to try this attack again? Because he never got spent, did he? And remember, he does have line of sight now. He's got one extra defense modifier, obviously, because he's wet in the building. But because this cuts through right down the spine of this hex, as long as one of the hexes is an open hex, it's not got blocking line of sight. If they both had blocking line of sight, you wouldn't be able to go down the middle, obviously. So he could fire on him, he could fire on him. Yeah, or we've got other options. I mean, trying to take this on is really hard. You get what you get for being at short range. If I was to move into here, for instance, and I'm not going to do this, but if I get this guy in short range, now I've already said that to hit him we need to use our blue firepower. You can see our blue firepower is 0. But anytime you're in short range, you get a +3 to your firepower. So I'd get a 3 against him. Now the other way is actually moving into the hex beside him. If you get that, you got +4 to your firepower, so we'd get a 4 against him. And not only that, I would consider his lowest defense modifier as well. I would consider the 12. I would consider him in his flank rather than, if I'm in the hex. So there's that. But you don't want to risk all that. I don't want to get close to him, because he's going to get to fire back with 3, and if he's adjacent to me, he's getting the +3 to the 3, so it's 6. Or if I'm in the same hex as him, he's getting +4 to the 3, which is a 7. So I really don't want to do that until maybe he gets spent, and then I can maybe take a chance and move in. But remember, when these guys are spent, if they draw one of these blue cards, then that allows them to do a free action. It doesn't, it doesn't matter if he's spent or not, he'll do it. So it depends on what other things are going on and what it says on the card, but it's more than likely they're going to attack you. So we don't want to mess with any of that stuff. So I guess I'll just have another shot. I'll just use this guy again. So we're firing with 3 against, well, it would be 11, but he's in a white build, a wood building, so he gets a +1 to that. So it's 3 against 12. We've got 2 caps left. Yeah, I'm going to use one, actually. I've just realised, see this very first mission tracker? It can catch you out a bit. This is a rat ad. In fact, I had this in my the game, actually. It shows you a bit of errata here. Solo expansion errata. Sniper fire. It should be Soviet caps, it's got German caps on it. But I suppose if you were switched over and playing as Germans, then maybe that would apply. Anyway, when that happens, you roll a d6 and you can lose so many of these caps depending on the die roll. So I'm maybe better using them before we get the mission track moving on. Well, we'll use both of them again then. Yeah, you know what? I will. Because there is a good chance I might lose them with that sniper fire anyway. So I'm going to use 2 caps. And remember, I've still got my command action card, actually. So I can always use that. Right, so I'm going to use 2 caps. So we've got 3 against, what did I say, 11, but the +1 is 12. So basically, the way I do it, I know it's a die roll, but I just add the 2 onto this. If I'm using 2 caps, so it's 5. It's 5 against 12. So I need the 7 now. Where can I put this? I've not got space here. Right, I'll just chuck it there now. So 5 against 12, so we need a 7. Rubbish. 5, so we miss again. So now he's going to take a spent check on a 4 again, because that was what it cost for him to make the fire. And zoom in there. Right, let's draw a card. Right, so we've got a 2 this time, so that's less than a 4. So this guy now becomes spent. So that's him. Now that command action card will allow us to do that again by using this card, because he's spent, but I don't know, I'm not sure why I do that or not. So that means now we can't activate him normally. We need caps, and we've just used all our caps, although like I said, that card would work. Okay, right, let's do one more AI activation, and then we'll call it. Right, so this is a command order card, so it doesn't matter if the unit's spent or not, it can still activate with this. It's basically like their way of using caps. So, right, let's have a look. So, nothing here about that. You don't get that on the command cards, any kind of movement on the mission track or that. So we go, do we have anybody in close combat? No. Do we have anybody in short range? No. Now, let's say short range is adjacent. So none of these German units are adjacent to a target. So with none of that. So again, it's down into the tactical orders. Now there's 3 of them this time, and then we've got the mission orders if we get down to that, which we'll see. Right. Highest firepower AI furthest from a fresh hit unit. Okay. Right, I could start looking at, I know we're going to go look left to right, but again, you can just remove it because there's no fresh hit units, right? So there's no fresh hit units, so we can just move on. Right, so then we've got fresh unhit mobile AI, and a mobile AI is a unit that's got a movement cost of 1. Which covers everything in this game. Even the half track has got a movement cost of 1. I'm guessing some of the tanks and that have maybe more than 1. Or certain things are going to be have a movement cost of more than 1. Anyway, so fresh unhit mobile AI closest to an in line of sight mission objective or spent unit. Move towards. That's quite a mouthful, eh? Right. Well, breaking it down. Mission objectives are. They would say their mission objectives over there, right? If there's not any mission objectives, if it's a control marker, right? This is a German control marker. If we had moved over this and it becomes a Soviet control marker, that then counts as a mission objective. That's right, isn't it? That then counts as a mission objective for the AI, if I'm not mistaken. But there could be some other mission objectives on and it'll tell you in the instructions. I think that's right. Pretty sure that's right, but however, it's German controlled now, so there's no mission objectives for them to look at. So going back here, so we can ignore that part. So we want a fresh, unhit mobile AI closest to an in line of sight or an in line of sight spent unit, right? Because the mission objective is not a thing. So we've only got 1 spent unit, and it needs to be in line of sight. Well, this unit's in line of sight of it, right? So, well, it's in line of sight, and that unit's close to it. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be him. So he's the fresh, unhit mobile AI that's closest to it, and he's going to move towards. Right. So it is him. Okay. See, I mean, it can be quite a simple kind of game, but it can really also start getting you thinking. I mean, I've had just drawn 2 AI cards there and I'm struggling to get them all worked out. Although this one is simple, I think that is easier to work out. So he's going to move towards this, so he needs to get closer, but this time it's not a low risk move towards. So he doesn't care about, he can move into his short range this time. So he's got, his options are, hang on, because, oh no, it's spent unit. So this is the target, because I was going to say these are both 2 away, but it is this unit, because this one is a spent unit and that one's not. So he's going to move towards, so he can move into here, or he can move into here. And he doesn't care about being in his fire zone and being in short range, because it's not a low risk. And the fact that the instructions saying here, spent unit, it tells you that, you know, well, okay, we've got this card in our hand and we may well be using that next turn, but that's why he's moving in there. He's sort of saying, well, this guy's spent. He's it's harder for him to act again. You know, he needs caps or he needs one of the cards, like I said. So that's why the AI is clever with that, doing things like that. You know, it's the sort of thing I would want to do. I've already said up there, I'm not really wanting to move close to this, but if it was spent, I might consider doing it. Well, this is what the AI is trying to do. Yeah? So he can move into here or here, and as we've seen before, what he wants to do is move into the better defensive modifier hex. So he's going to move into there. Now he's facing. He needs to keep this in his fire zone, and he wants to try and keep as many other units in his fire zone. Well, unfortunately, he can't do that with that move. As a fact, he could do it if he moved into there, because he could then turn facing like that, couldn't he? And then both of these would be in his... Well, no, that's not true, because I think this wouldn't be in line of sight. So there you are. Anyway, this is the hex he wants to move into before that, because of the defensive modifier. So he's then going to move into there, and I think he's just going to keep his facing like that, because that's still in his fire zone. And I mean, you know, you could say we'd maybe want to turn like that, but then that's then exposing his flank to this guy. I think he wants to keep it like that. I dare say this is one area where maybe it does say it needs it wants. Well, hang on, let's see what it says in the rules, Grant. Yeah, okay, so there's the bit I was wanting to try and find there. It says, when moving or pivoting, an AI should always end up facing a hex side that includes in its arc of fire the enemy unit closest to it, then its mission objective. Well, at the moment we know there's no mission objective. Then the most enemy units in its line of sight. So yeah, so as long as it's got that in its arc of fire, well, it just moving from there to there. It doesn't need to turn. It's got this unit in its arc of fire. And I think that's the best facing for it to have the possibility of getting, you know, to stay in with. I mean, it doesn't really state that it should move and turn towards it, really. It just says as long as it's in an arc of fire. So I think that just moves straight ahead and it just leave it like that. I dare say, again, this is possibly a bit that you could step in and say, well, what is best? And maybe adjust it, but I don't see there being a better option there, so I'm just going to go with that and leave it like that. I think, like I say, I'm going to try and avoid Rule 42 if I can. Yeah, okay. So he's moved. Oh no, it was a camera. This is the thing. It would normally cost him. It would cost 1 extra to move into the woods. So it would have cost him 2 points to move into that. However, because it's a blue command order card, that's basically a free move for him. So we don't need to check to see if he's spent, and that's it. So now, next time, well, can we? No. You know what? I'm getting in an hour and a half now. So I better just cut this here. And yeah, I want to watch over this as well. It feels really shoddy, to be honest. But I've said that before, and then I've watched the video back, and I thought, you know what, it's all right. What am I trying to do? I'm just trying to play a game. It's not. It doesn't need to be professional or anything like that. Although I want to be enjoying myself, and this is kind of, I suppose I've kind of dragged my heels a little bit here because I feel like I need to explain a few things. I'm not wanting to try and teach you all the rules, like I've said. That's never my purpose. But I suppose I need to talk about a few things to, like, rather than just draw a card and saying, right, that happens, you know, do that. But you need to explain a little bit. Certainly, while it gets started, maybe if I played this a bit and we're on to our third mission and that, I'll maybe just draw the card and then make my move, and then we'll know what we're doing. Okay, I'll leave it for now, and I know there's not an awful lot got started there, and I'll have a look at back this video, and hopefully I've not scared anybody with a bit at the beginning, scared you off. Anyway, okay, I'll be back. Well, that's me got started again, so hopefully I'll come up the stairs and yeah, I'll be wanting to hit record again and get some gaming done. Okay, be back soon anyway. Cheers.